First and foremost, the most exciting thing about studying history of art is the cross-curricular nature of the subject. In any one lesson, we will be talking about history and art, obviously, but also covering politics, economics, psychology, science, maths. The key thing about history of art is that art and architecture tend to be a lens and a window into society and culture at the time, so you have to study whatever is relevant to that work of art and architecture in order to be able to understand it. So in terms of students who should be looking to choose history of art, we always say that the most important thing is for them to have an inquiring mind. And students typically who tend to sort of move towards history of art are also those who have a broad range of interests. I think crucial for students who are looking to pick history of art at A-level to know is that you absolutely do not need to have art GCSE. You don't need to be good at art in any way. There's no practical art element involved in that. The students that study history of art, because they are having to look at and learn about all of these different subjects, it's an incredibly rigorous subject and they come out pretty well versed in a number of different academic disciplines. In that respect, the art historian is necessarily the interdisciplinarian, having to understand all of these different subjects to understand the art and architecture that they're studying. It's global, it feels very, very relevant, so not only are we looking at sort of temples from the 9th century and mosques from the 15th century, but we're also talking about artists such as Grace and Perry, contemporary artists. So it feels very relevant, and we look at art and architecture that goes up until 2015. There's a whole section of the A-level that we look at which is called identities, and in that case we're talking about very relevant issues, so race, ethnicity, gender. The students love that aspect of it, that we can have very discursive lessons based around those sort of key themes. For me, I remember when I did history of art at A-level, the thing that I loved the most, apart from the cross-curricular nature of it, was this idea that you are gaining skills in visual literacy. So learning, in many cases for the first time, how to read and understand the images, the sculptures, the buildings that are everywhere in the cities that you visit. I think today, particularly in this age of information, we're bombarded by images from all different channels: Facebook, Instagram, general social media, newspapers, billboards, magazines, and the ability to be able to understand those images and generally kind of read and interpret the images and the spaces that surround us and define us in many ways. Visiting galleries and exhibitions forms a really, really integral part of the A-level here. We're very lucky to have London on our doorstep, so probably sort of every half term we use our afternoon double lesson and we go into the galleries and basically have our afternoon lesson in the gallery. And we also have residential trips, so the big one is October half term. We go to Florence and Rome and study our Renaissance module there, and we also have one next year to Paris, a day trip to Paris, for the sort of avant-garde France element. It teaches us about ourselves as a civilization, and the humanities, history of art and all the others help us to understand ourselves as a civilization.